Hello and welcome back to The Stage Door, presented by Canberra Arts on Rogers TV from right here in Corner Brook. This is our heading into summertime. So through the summer, we're going to hear from our festivals here in Western Newfoundland. We're going to hear from the Grosthorn Theatre Festival, the Stephenville Theatre Festival, Newfound Family Drama, and of course Canberra Arts, who all have very exciting seasons in Corner Brook, Stephenville, and Cowhead. So hopefully, as you plan your summer, you have the time and information needed to get some tickets and support local theatre. So this week, I'm here with Stephenville Theatre Festival. Really excited to have Amelia and Violet on the show. So welcome to the Stage Door, folks. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So like I said, folks, through the summer, we're going to be re-airing these episodes. So this is the first one we're filming, but you might see it a couple other times. But it's great because it keeps us informed on what's going on, keeps it on the top of our brain as we look at our summer calendars. But it's always good to purchase those tickets in advance. So at the end of the episode, we're going to have a little screen that shows how to get tickets and how to get all the information on what is in each season. Because between these four groups, there's something for everyone, for sure, that you're going to be able to find, whether it's in Corner Brook or whether you travel for it. Before we talk about Stephenville Theatre Festival and what's coming up, we'll chat with each of you. So Violet, we'll start with you. One of the questions we always like to focus on the Stage Door is where it all began. So what would you say was your introduction to theatre?
Well, when I was in elementary and primary school, of course, we had like our Christmas concerts and things like that. And I remember the year that I got my first line, I was like Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. And it was, red is for stop, green is for go, but when it comes to choosing, I just don't know. And then ever since then, my teachers were like, oh, she likes this kind of stuff. And in grade 6, my teacher, Madame Willette, asked if I wanted to take theater classes. And I had never really heard of that outside of school before. And so somehow she organized it so I got into TNL, and she would bring me there and home every Thursday after school. And then from there, I did school musicals in junior high, and then in grade 9, Steve Purchard came to me about Graham Academy, him and Amy Andrews, and asked if I'd be interested in applying for the bursary program there, and I did, and I didn't really expect to hear anything back, and then I did hear something back. So ever since grade 9 to grade 12, I guess, I was in Graham Academy with Canberra Arts, and that kind of, I grew a lot more, and even before that, I was in Locke and Keynote, doing musical theater camps, which I loved, and so between Locke and Keynote and Graham Academy, and a few classes in TNL after that, I got to develop my skill set and really find a really good community here that I fell in love with.
Absolutely. I think that's, that's what often comes up, is that it's as much about the community as anything else. And, Graham Academy is our version of a youth program, but there's so many wonderful offerings, especially in the summer. There's a lot of summer camps. Graham Academy has summer camps. The Broadway Boot Camp, there's still time to register for that one, actually. The Broadway Bound's filling up, though, I'm going to tell you. So feel free to check those out, keep an eye on them. But the Rotary Arts Center is doing some camps as well. And there's some opportunities in Stephenville, too. Yeah. So it's a wealth of opportunity from many layers, not only seeing performances, but also getting to experience that education. And since you mentioned it, I will say, for those unaware, Graham Academy does operate a bursary fund. This fund is designed to ensure that no youth should be left behind when it comes to artistic programming due to financial barrier. It was something our namesake, Gary Graham, was really passionate about, and it's something that a private committee has really maintained extraordinarily well. And a lot of it's funded by donations to make sure that this is possible. But I'll say here, this year, it invested over $20,000 to youth in the arts, which is a really important milestone to celebrate and commemorate. So if you know a young person who is interested and would be a good fit for that program, check it out. And there's no expectation to talk about it. Violet's always been wonderfully open, but we keep it that it's their story, so no one needs to be aware. But Violet's become a great advocate for that type of programming, and certainly
well, if it wasn't for that,
superseded.
then I wouldn't have been able to do Graham Academy, which is really where I found a family in this community, and I was able to work on my skill set so that I could end up at STF.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's amazing, to see, and we're so fortunate that at only 8 years old, we've had a number of alumni that are out in the world. Anna Barrett's in New York, working as a professional. She just had to submit a 1,500-page document to get her visa, but she got it. She's able to work that now, and it was neat having those conversations of like, oh yeah, there's this show, here you go, here's the information on that. And of course, Anna was at STF as well, and this summer, Canberra Arts is welcoming back Kate Sanders, and Kate spent a number of seasons at STF and is now working in the UK too. So it's pretty amazing when you're literally that quick, and we have alumni in all these different pockets working in the arts. It's very exciting. And of course, Amelia, you're relatively new to Corner Brook, but certainly making a space for yourself here through Graham Academy, but also working with the festival. So where did it all begin for you as an artist? Obviously, you're a teaching artist now, so there's layers that things evolve in.
It probably started, I was a competitive dancer growing up in Calgary. The owners of the studio that I went to were very passionate about musical theater and made sure that it was a part of our programming. So every other year we would do a full-length musical as a studio, and that really kind of got me going in theater and continued on with my dance training, and then pursued musical theater post-secondarily. I moved to Toronto and lived there for about a decade and have just kind of been working and choreographing and teaching ever since. So yeah, I have my dance teachers to thank for getting me into theater, and then I never stopped.
There you go.
Yeah.
And Amelia, choreography is something that you've really kind of taken on in a number of ways, whether through Graham Academy since being here locally, but also through STF for a couple seasons now.
Yeah.
What was the moment that you thought that was something that you'd like to do, to actually choreograph and develop the storytelling through the dance for different shows?
It was actually kind of thrust upon me, to be honest with you. I got a call from a friend who was working on a production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and he knew I was a dancer. We'd gone to school together, and I got a call saying, hey, our choreographer just had something come up and they can't do it anymore. Would you be willing to choreograph it? And I said, sure. And after that, there was a group of 3 of us that kind of ended up being almost resident choreographer, director, and musical director at a company in Toronto, and ended up working on a bunch of shows that way. And so it just kind of snowballed. And then when I got my first year out at STF, I actually was contracted to choreograph and perform. And so every year since 2016 with STF, I've been doing some form of choreography and performance. So yeah. It kind of, I fell into it, and now it hasn't stopped, and I love it. It's just, it is. It really is. You kind of fall
really
into
is.
it, and then
it's an amazing thing, I think, in that way, that you really, I think many people go through their theater program or musical theater program, and they're like, I'm going to be a performer, and that's it. And then it's like, hey, do you want to teach or direct or do something? And you're like, I could.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that's actually very enriching.
It's like, and 1 year turns into 5, turns into 10.
But it's like, can't imagine without that
100%.
Added skill. And Joseph, what a wild first, it's like every genre of music in one show. It's like you really need to do a lot of research on that show.
And we decided
you have a country song, you have a...
And I wasn't a part really of the casting process, so I kind of got brought on a little bit late, and the team before me had decided that they wanted a wife for every brother. So I think we had 39 people on stage, plus a kids course. Oh, and they wanted 3 narrators. So we had 3 narrators for that production, plus
Oh my!
a wife for every brother. And yeah, there were a lot of people on stage for that one. So it was
quite a beast.
Yeah, I kind of got thrown into the deep end on that one, but it was a good learning experience. And I'm sure if I watched that show back, I would change many things about it now. But yeah.
But that's how we learn, right?
Exactly.
We accept and get those opportunities to dive in. And, you know, we're so fortunate here in Western Newfoundland that there are 4 companies that are hiring local and people from away. And there's stories like yours of
Yeah.
someone who started as someone from away that has now made Western Newfoundland home.
Yeah.
And I think that's always such an exciting story to tell. So, you know, and one that we've heard a couple times. You know, Louise Gautier's been on the show and spoke about that. Marcel Boisjoli's been on the show and spoke about that. So before we move into the next question, what was it about Western Newfoundland that made you think, I could stay here and do an artistic practice here? And
Yeah, it was the people, honestly. Like all of the people that I've met through my time being here with working with STF and now with Graham Academy and other places in Corner Brook, like the Dance Hub, and worked with Dance Studio West and everything. Like, it was just the people in the community that everybody here has created and welcomed me so quickly. It just really felt like home from an early time of being here, and the landscape too. It's a magical place. The first time you step on this island, and like I grew up in Calgary, I grew up near the mountains where everybody thinks it's all magical and it's lovely. It really, really is, and I don't discredit the mountains or Banff or any place like that, but there is something magical about the people and the roots that people have specifically here. There's such deep, deep roots, and people are so connected to their community and to the land here. So it really just is a super, super inviting community, and I'm so grateful that I've found my place here.
yeah, and again, this is one of the joys that I have of doing this show through Canberra Arts is, you know, not only are we part of the tapestry that gets to be involved in making that welcoming space for artists, but we get to hear similar stories so often. So it really, like, it is the definition of this place in many ways that is lived, and partially due to, you know, festivals like Stephenville and like Theatre Newfoundland Labrador that really helped pave the way. You know, there's a fairly legendary story of Maxim Mazumder, the founder of
yes.
both TNL and STF.
Yep.
You know, he was asked, because he, again, not someone from here, but chose to start this here after seeing community theatre in a position to thrive, and focused on youth development and bringing professional artists to this pocket of the world where they could fall in love with it. And, you know, of course, the question was, why Newfoundland? And his answer was, why not? And that was it.
Yep.
You know, and of course, Maxim's legacy is preserved in many ways through, you know, Gary Graham was someone who was in those original years as well as Edmund McLean and Cliff Lejeune, who are names that many people recognize around this pocket of the world. And we have the great fortune of being able to bring Edmund back a couple of times, and he always makes a point to go to STF to see something every season.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how attached people can be to this wonderful place.
Yeah.
Violet, you grew up here.
Yeah.
What was there? You know, we talked about what started your journey, but was there a magical moment that you said, "This is something I want to do. This is something I can do here"?
Not necessarily. I think ever since I joined, I was kind of like, oh, this is fun. I want to keep doing this. And then you mentioned to me that you had done the theater program here at Grenfell. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And so also, I could have applied to a musical theater school because musical theater is really my passion, whereas like Grenfell just focuses on acting. But hearing what you told me about the program and also being in the community here, I just was not ready to just leave that behind. And so I applied to Grenfell, I auditioned, and I knew that was where I wanted to go, and I knew that I know that wherever I go in the future, I'll always come back.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the power of Newfoundland and Labrador, is that everywhere people leave, they want to come back. And that's been a great joy for us at Canberra Arts, is we're bringing artists home all the time. And it is such a gift to be able to do that. I think this is also a season for a lot, I think, yeah, 3 of the groups that we're going to talk with, TNL, Canberra Arts, and Stephenville Theatre Festival, are bringing artists back home. Gwen, the music director for
Gwen
some
Dawson.
of the projects, Gwen Dawson, is coming back to Stephenville after a number of years in Nova Scotia working at Neptune Theatre. Kate Etienne is in Cowhead this year after, again, a number of years working Come From Way and some other projects. And we have Kate Sanders coming back home. So it's really neat that actually this summer that's happening, and that's
we have another one actually.
Oh.
Jacob Terry. He was born in Corner Brook, but he was raised in Truro. So he's actually making his way over on the ferry today. So he's on a motorcycle journey on his way over.
He's
and
currently doing an Instagram takeover.
He is.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
Yeah.
There you go.
Instagram.
So with that, we'll shift our conversation to be a bit more about the Stephenville Theatre Festival. So Violet, of course, this is your first year as a part of this festival, and coincidentally, you've done seasons with Canberra Arts and with Newfound Family Drama.
Yeah.
So how do you feel, those journeys have helped shape this one to get a position at STF?
Yeah, well,
Connecting the dots between everything,
With Canberra, obviously, I've done the Blood on the Newfie Bullet, interactive shows like that, and I always like to mention that because I feel like that really helped me. That particular show really helped me with audience interaction.
You don't have a choice with that one.
And so, which paved
right there.
Yeah, which paved the way for me working at Newfound Family Drama Company.
Of course.
When we originally workshopped Blood on the Newfie Bullet, and because there's so much audience interaction in my previous dinner theater experience with Newfound Family Drama Company, that really helped me out there. And then once I was there, we did a lot of country music too. And that was an amazing experience, just getting to connect with people, folks from here, folks traveling, that just wanted to have a nice meal and share some smiles and share some music. And it really made me feel connected to the community in a different way than I had before. It wasn't just, we were talking about earlier, it wasn't just the people who go to every show in Corner Brook that were seeing it. It was people who had never seen a dinner theater show before, who had never seen a musical before. And the pure joy from the audience really made, it always reminds me, oh, this is why I do it. These smiles and these connections that I'm making, and the stories that you hear from audience members, you make them feel safe to open up and safe to experience joy in a controlled environment. And so when I was auditioning for STF this year, I remember Laura asked me, so what kind of music do you like? And I froze. I was like, oh, I like a lot. I've done country because I had done country with Newfound Family Drama Company. And I think that it's nice that I get to continue doing queens of country like Patsy Cline, probably some Reba, I assume.
Yes.
I know
Yeah.
Dolly Parton, even Shania Twain. So it's fun to get to continue that in a different environment. And I'm really, really looking forward to meeting new people.
Of course.
Yeah. In Corner Brook, I feel you have a great community to work with, and people are very close. And new people will come in every once in a while, and then you'll get really close with them, but you never really get the experience to just start fresh with a whole new cast.
Absolutely.
And I don't know anyone in the cast, really. And so I'm really, really looking forward to the fresh experience of getting to connect with an entirely new group of people.
Yeah, and I think that's a key difference between Grossborn Theatre Festival and STF versus Canberra Arts and Newfound Family Drama is both the Cornerbrook companies are rooted in kind of community and fostering the ability to do multiple things. We've shared artists for a number of projects. You know, our train show in particular is designed that people can do that as a part-time commitment and do the show, as opposed to STF and Grossborn Theatre Festival. You're hired for the season. You are working up there, you are living there, you are doing the hours, and once the show's open, it lightens up. But it's a big time commitment in those first weeks that you're heading into. And actually, of course, with our season this year at Canberra with Barley Leg and our Newfoundland show, Echoes from the Outports, it's a similar thing. Many of those artists are on both shows, which means they are busy for those first 2 weeks. So it's repertory theater, essentially, is what, so you're doing multiple shows through the season and getting the chance to build that. And I think another thing that you tapped on that's really interesting is, particularly post-pandemic, there's been an evolution to really focus on comfort in theater. You know, there is a space for theater to push the boundary and to change the way you think, but there's a lot of comfort that is prioritized as well. I think that's really what STF season is this year, is you have 39 Steps, which is a brilliant comedy. If you haven't seen 39 Steps, it's been done on the province a couple times. It is a great, great show. Your stomach will ache from laughing. But also Queens of Country and Made in Canada, celebrating country and Canadian music. And All Shook Up, which is the music of Elvis, who spent some time in Stephenville.
He did.
In the American base years. So it's really a season rooted in what makes us comfortable. And there's going to be a Broadway pop-up, which
Some
I'm
brunches.
actually going to be involved in, which is super exciting. And again, that celebrates the shows that have happened at STF in part. So it's really quite exciting to see that. And I think that's across the board. I think, you know, the dinner theater, it's bringing new people in because, whoa, I like Elvis. I don't know about theater, but I'll see that. And it's so exciting when someone has that experience and they're like, that was cool. Yeah. It's a really special feeling that you captured in that. So
it's more
Amelia,
accessible to a larger population of people.
Absolutely.
Because
it
people
opens
like
the door.
Elvis, they may go, oh no, a musical's not for me, or I don't know about that theater stuff. But if they hear that, like, someone's going to be singing some Dolly Parton songs, and they're going to go enjoy their night, and then it's nice to be able to welcome
something
people
else
to the community
within
like that.
which I think is so important. You combine those communities. You have the diehard theater goers that are doing this tour of Western Newfoundland theater, that are getting their tickets for all these places, and then you have someone who's going to say, that one actually sounds really interesting. So hopefully some of our viewers are gonna make those decisions. So Amelia, you're choreographer for 2 of these projects, actually directing the Queens of Country. So what are the challenges that come with taking this iconic music and making a new story to tell with it through the movement of the piece?
Well, with All Shook Up especially, it's really interesting because the storyline of the show is very reminiscent of Twelfth Night. So there's some like Shakespearean elements to it and some very funny tropes that are going to happen. So it's been really interesting. I've been watching a lot of videos of Elvis and how he moved to get some inspiration of what that looks like to make sure that it fits with what the music is doing. But there's also such a strong story that needs to be told with this. So you get to hear songs like Hound Dog, you get to hear songs like Blue Suede Shoes, but in a completely reimagined way. And so I've been having a lot of fun with getting the choreography ready, of listening to what era we're in, what year, because the show takes place in 1955. So it's been a lot of research on what was happening movement-wise back then, because we all know that Elvis's hips were a big topic of discussion.
That was a big change for the world, really.
Exactly, and so it's really fun to be looking at this musical from the point of view of before the Elvis character comes and after the Elvis character comes, and what happens to the movement of the people of the town that haven't been exposed to things like
Yeah.
gyrating hips.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and you
So-
get the added element of costume. It's very much a period piece.
Very,
and, you
very
know,
much.
Stephenville's no stranger to doing that 9 to 5 is very much
Yeah.
a period piece. Also a
Absolutely.
jukebox show.
Yeah.
Rock of Ages is
Yes.
a jukebox show, and very
We Will
much
Rock
set
You
in the
also.
time.
Yeah.
We Will Rock You, set in the future.
Yes.
Jukebox show.
Well, like you said, like mixing tradition and innovation,
Yeah.
because it is based off of Twelfth Night.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shakespeare. That's way before 1955.
Yes.
But I wouldn't know if I read. I didn't know when I read
Oh,
it.
absolutely. No, and I
Yeah.
think that's the benefit of Shakespeare is when you choose something that's in the public domain that way, you could really be like based off.
Yeah, and the
And you
stories are so
borrowed
universal.
5 elements from
Yeah.
that and have expanded it. Because Shakespeare is, in many ways, the hero's journey, or there's comedy, there's mistaken identity.
Yes.
In 12th Night, that happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a very exciting season. And I think it's well worth the trip,
Yes.
says the person who always takes the trip. But for those that haven't, I highly recommend you get there. So like I said, this summer we'll be repeating this episode with Stephenville Theatre Festival, but we'll also be featuring Newfound Family Drama Company, Canberra Arts, and Grossborn Theatre Festival, all of whom have a fantastic season. So if you're looking for something to do this July and August, take the time, plan a little trip away, plan a little time to stay. I think that's really what this is all about. So all of those events have tickets. The information's actually on screen right now. You could check online, you could call the box office. You're going to want to make sure that you do that sooner rather than later to avoid disappointment.
Yes.
The only way that this happens is because of folks like you who go and see the shows. And you're not only supporting the arts and that company, you're supporting the community, you're supporting, you know, the arts give back in a lot of ways as well. And you look at the local sponsorship that gives back to the arts, that is so valuable. As we clue up our episode, I do want to thank our gold level sponsor, Harbour Financial, for their support of Canberra Arts. And for those that are looking for a way to support, don't hesitate to reach out. There's always ways that you can provide that to the arts, and it will benefit you as well. So folks, we'll be talking to those other groups through the summer as well, and hope to see you next week back at the stage door.